everyone, I've spoken to a lot of you already, so you probably already know that I am Louisa Trunks, and I am here to talk to you today about when life gives you lemons. So, hang on a moment. So, about 5 years ago, this was me 5 years ago, and I was, and still am, a fundraising and development consultant. So I've spent my life working with charities to help them raise more money and to deliver more impact. I came from an entrepreneurial family, so I had my mum and stepdad were constantly talking about business as I was growing up. So it's kind of under, I think when you grow up like that, it's kind of under your, it's just a part of your fabric really. So very early on in my 20s, my husband and I bought a small childcare business that we ran for a few years, then we sold that. I set up another childcare business as well when I had children. I was also the Director of Combined Defensive Arts, which is my husband's passion. I cannot kick for toffee. And we'd done a couple of home renovations. But because we were working for ourselves, we thought that we were probably quite vulnerable. So we thought, done a couple of home renovations, we'll get into property, just to, we'll buy one or two as our pension and what have you. At that time, well, actually this is still true, I have not changed what I love, which is my family, travel, food and nature, and I'm all about people, connections and making things happen. So just over 5 years ago, I went to a progressive property masterclass because, as I said, I wanted to get into property a little bit more. And I did learn a bit, but mostly, actually, what I learned was how much I already knew, because I felt like I didn't know anything about property, but given that I had 20 years experience as a fundraising consultant, it was a bit of a light bulb moment to realise how much I knew. But most importantly, while I was there, I met, there's no thing, is there? I met this wonderful woman here called Leanne Ingham. And Leanne has been investing in property since she was about 20. She's about my age. And her and her husband are also Royal Naval officers, so she drove warships. She'd just come out of the Navy and was looking for something to do. And she said, oh, why don't you come and work with me in Cornwall? And I said, no thanks. And I went to try and go and work with someone else from around here, actually. That didn't work. So within 3 months, Leanne was sitting in my kitchen eating chocolate. And we had founded Greenway Property, which feels a bit rash, but the more that this presentation goes on, you'll understand I am not a rash woman. Well, actually, my risk profile is quite low. My daughter is the little girl on the right, and the blonde girl is Farah, so that's their daughter. We've both got sons too, and it was a real sort of meeting of families. Very, very quickly, we realised that we were very much linked by our values. So we spent a lot of time talking about what was important to us, more probably than we talked about where we wanted to go in life. But it was very clear that we all wanted to build a lot of wealth for our families, to have some fun, and most importantly for us, to be able to give back. We spent a lot of time underneath trees, just generally talking. So we love people, we are inspired by our magnificent planet, we get excited about developing beautiful spaces full of light with access to nature. So this is what we kind of decided. And we're very value-led, so our values are equity for all, environment, which we perceive as being crucial for well-being, partnerships built on mutual respect, quality, which for us is well-designed, safe living spaces, and efficiency. So we hate waste, both environmental waste and my own personal pet hate, waste of time. It was a very fast and furious first year. We did the branding and website. That was up within the first month of launching. We recruited our first administrator. I should point out here, actually, that Mike and Leanne already had their own portfolio of properties. So instantly, the idea was that our company, Greenway, would be a managing agent as well for their properties. So we instantly had things to do with properties, which meant we needed our first administrator. We brought the Fairway portfolio in underneath what we were trying to do. We set up a lettings company, Greenway Lettings. We recruited a lettings manager. I'm sure you can call Truro a city. It's technically city centre, and it's grade 2 listed. Just the facade is grade 2 listed. Lots of pictures of us. This is from the roof garden. Actually didn't have a roof garden, but we've put one in, so you can see the cathedral there, proving it is a city. There's a lot of introducing our whys to their future. Lots of bonding. Walking around deciding what we were going to do. And actually what we decided to do was to turn it into 6 flats, so we've got 5 one-beds and 1 2-bed. And we began. So we took the back off. There was only a small extension at the back on the single story. And there we are, all looking very smug, and really happy, because life was going exceptionally well at this point. And I'm one of those kind of people, I get very excited when with opportunity, maybe we all do. So life felt really bright. I was 40. And unfortunately, what we didn't know is that about 2 months when we were into this development, bearing in mind that we've only been in business for just over a year at this point, we've only known each other for a year and a half, we didn't know is that I had a 5-centimetre tumour growing inside of me. So one very jolly day, in amongst a very, very busy early September, I was running along to the clinic to get the lump checked, and I was kind of like, it'll be absolutely nothing, I don't have time for this, it won't be anything. I didn't even take anyone with me, but unfortunately it was stage 3, and I needed a lot of treatment. So we had 2 business partners who didn't really know us, and were then faced with the position that we have a large commercial conversion development, which they'd done stuff like that before, but it was a pressure, it was a step up for all of us. And they're doing this with 2 people who, it was very clear that I was going to be out for a while, if not forever, because it was very serious. And obviously my husband was a little bit busy coping with facing what he was facing and looking after our 2 children. So it's very difficult for them as well. And I think because there's me with no hair. And actually, lots of people would hate that. I love that picture because I spent 6 months in having chemotherapy, and hopefully none of you know, but it is really, really, really tough. I lost all my hair, and this is the day that I finished chemotherapy and I was on my way back. So if you've ever caught the train down to Cornwall, you go along this bit here. And it was just kind of one of those moments when the sun came back out, and I didn't really care that I had no hair. But there you go. So, but business continues, right? And I think one of the things that was really important, one of the reasons why this was just about okay, is that first year when I was telling you that we spent a lot of time underneath trees, a lot of time talking about our values and making sure that we were really, really connected, was probably how we got through this. Because I think if we hadn't done that, it would have cracked us. We'd have had some very honest conversation about, do you know what, we'll leave, you keep it, you finish it, and you keep all the profits. But we didn't, so business just continued. This was in 2019, just to give you, you can probably guess what's coming. So we go into year 2, we're going into 2020, and we set up, whilst I was going through chemotherapy, we set up Greenway Stays, which was a serviced accommodation company. We grew our owned and our rent to SA portfolio. We also increased our lettings management, because we're a lettings management agency as well. And then, as we all know, COVID hit. So that picture I showed you when I was back on my way to Cornwall, that was February. So 3 weeks later, I had the operation to remove the remnants of the cancer. And 10 days later, COVID hit. So we all went into lockdown, and all of our businesses suffered, but our commercial conversion didn't do so well. I'm jumping ahead though, because so like all of us, right? Who's fed up with that word now? I can't even listen to it without hearing it. But what did we do? We pivoted like everybody else. Pivoted. We communicated a lot with all of our tenants. We moved really fast to preempt rent issues. We prioritised health. We got key workers into all of our serviced accommodation to keep the rents covering. We secured grants, and we walked like everybody else, and we zoomed like everybody else. Basically, we secured our business. But our commercial conversion, the blocks just went on it. We'd really struggled through 6 months of me being in treatment. I'm probably the person in our team with the most financial acumen. So we had a couple of budgeting issues because my eyes weren't on it. And we used a finance company who sold our loan to an American company, even though they'd spent a lot of time face-to-face with me before when they took the loan out, saying, don't worry, if you hit any problems, we will support you, we will work with you. I just thought cancer was quite a good problem that you could work with somebody with, but oh no, they sold it to the States, and the people who now owned our loan said they would not give us the final tranche of our money. So we have a development where we can't get anyone in there to do the work because we're locked down. We haven't got any money to do the last one, and I'm pretty much in hospital. So that was pretty tough. And then, I promise it gets better. Then we had our third lemon, which was that we had, during the time where I was ill, we had gone into business again into another joint venture with a fifth individual who was full of good intention, but it was not particularly well man. And he had a lot of drug and alcohol issues and mental health issues, and COVID was not his friend, so he was not very well. So he went into crisis, which meant that we went into crisis because the idea was that he was the person that did all of the serviced accommodation. However, he just went for his own reasons. He just went and was absolutely no longer. We had to ask him to leave his step down as a director because he wasn't a fit and proper person. It's very, very challenging. But I was still having treatment, so I still had about 18 months. In total, I had 18 months of immunotherapy, which you have to go into hospital for your infusion, and it kind of takes you out. But this guy was doing a lot of the work, and he was no longer there, so I had to do 80-hour weeks during treatment just to secure the business. Otherwise, we would have lost everything. So this is me in the chemotherapy ward in Cheltenham General, and I would sit on my laptop, and as the drugs come in, you can feel it. It kind of hits you at the bottom, and they come up and they hit your head last. And I'd be typing, and then I'd be like, suddenly I get like, oh damn, I think I should stop, or else I'm going to say some absolute rubbish on the emails. So I did stop, but it was quite tough. And then we hit the beginning of year 3. I am cancer free by this point. Woohoo! Everybody's really pleased about this. We're really happy about that. But I kind of come out of the cancer haze, and all of my business partners, they just won't stop growing. I'm kind of like, whoa, because I'm all about systems, I'm all about delivery, and I know very well that one of the biggest risks to an early stage company is if you grow too fast and you don't get the scaffolding in beneath you, then you collapse, right? So I put an absolute stop on portfolio growth. You can imagine I had to come in with full boss and say no more until we put the systems in. We recruited. We systemised like crazy, and we grew anyway. Finally, as we come into year 3, we did manage to scrape together the money ourselves to get our Lemon Street project over the line. It was incredibly painful, but we did it. And when it was valued, we had this wonderful feedback from the valuer who says that in his 46 years of valuing, it's one of the best standards he's ever seen. We were quite chuffed about that. In fact, we know on the circuit he's still telling people in Cornwall that it's the best quality he's seen. We were quite chuffed, but of course it's all about the money. I mean, like, you can tell us that as much as you like. Are you going to give us the valuation that we needed? And we did. We got 950,000 valuation. We needed 900. So we were good. We were fine. We'd got through all the lemons. We delivered 6 apartments. They roughly cost, these figures have gone up a little bit now, but they roughly cost £4,000 for the block of 6 per month. And our monthly income has ranged from 9.5 per month to £45,000 per month. That was during the bounce back year in Cornwall. Now we average about £26,000 a month gross for these 6 apartments. We did a lot of celebrating. There was a lot of like breathing out because I was not going to die, well, not this year, and we were not going to be financially ruined. Obviously, we had personal guarantees, so not only were we risking, we were risking, as you all know, pretty much tough financial stuff. So that's me. I did a lot of sparring, sitting in spas, drinking champagne. We did a lot of celebrating with our families, a lot of celebrating. And then the magic started to happen, right? So, as you all know, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. So we'd been going for 3 years, and all the hard work started to pay off because all the cash flow issues that we'd had going through, it all started to compound, and things started to work really, really well. So today, again, this is probably a year out of date. So teach me for sending you them early. Today we've got 12 staff. Some of them are in the Philippines and some of them are in Cornwall. We also have about 12 subcontractors. That changes. Most of those are housekeepers. We are fully systemised. Although any fully systemised business, as you know, is constantly tinkering, so I always feel like there's more systemisation to be done. We've got proven demand, we've got about 50 properties, and that is a mix of rent-to-rent, owned and managed. We're actually about to take on another 30 properties this month, so that's going to grow considerably. We can accommodate just over 300 people. So when I said, I was actually wrong earlier, when I said we got 300 units, I haven't got 300 units. I can accommodate over 300 people. That's obviously not in individual units. We've got 100 plus HMO rooms and 150 SA beds, and our turnover is over 1.5 million. And actually, the SA beds, one thing that we've done this year is we've moved more to working with the council we provide emergency accommodation, which has taken us about a year to get all the contracts in place and all the policies and procedures. But that means that now a large percent of the SA beds go into emergency housing. And whilst the council say that that's supposed to be between 3 and 56 nights, we've had some of them in for a couple of years because there's such a hole in Cornwall for places for people to live. So that's us today. I said that we were systemised, and the way that we tested that, which was 2 years ago now, so in the end of year 3, we tested the systems by all 4 directors going on holiday at the same time in August. We went to Scotland, so this is my family on the right hand side, kayaking around Scotland, and then they went to Ibiza. I don't know how they got to Ibiza and I got to Scotland, but it was still nice. We still had some sun. But the idea was that for a full month, we were not contactable by our staff, which was to put them under the test. I mean, I gave them a lot of prep and a lot of support, and they all knew secretly that they could call us if they needed to. But it was just a test, and it worked actually, which was a huge moment for us. So the reason I'm here today is to tell you my story, but it's because for me there is nothing more important when you are in property and if you have a property business rather than you're just a sort of armchair investor for 1 or 2 for yourself. If you have a property business or any other type of business continuity planning should be the most important thing on your agenda in every meeting, I think. I mean, don't call it business continuity planning because it sounds a bit long-winded and a bit annoying. But I'm here because I'm passionate about talking to people about what happens when it goes wrong. Because so many people will sit there and say, oh, it never happened to me. Unfortunately, it does happen to you, right? It will happen to all of you. At some point, hopefully you won't get the problems I've had, but you'll have a problem. Something is going to hit your fan. And if you've done no planning before, trust me, you won't be able to deal with it if you've not got anything in place before. It's too late. When it hits the fan, it's too late to put anything in at that point. When it does happen, you'll need to move really fast and smart to survive. And as I just said, most important things cannot be done retrospectively. They take time to put in, and you have to have thought through. So as I've said to you, I'm a fundraiser for charities, and also I obviously take investment for property. For me and all of my team, not delivering is just not an option, right? You can't not deliver when it's not your money. You have to find a way through, which is why you have to have a business continuity plan in place to make sure that the project can deliver even if you can't deliver. So I'm just going to talk you through some things that we had in place that have really helped, what I wished I'd had in place, so kind of what I've learnt, and now what I'm looking at going forward as well. So these are things that we had. We had a really good awareness of delivering to external stakeholders. So we had a lot of business experience between us, a lot of relationship experience, so that held us in good stead. We were a multi-skilled and experienced team of directors. So there's 4 of us. There is some crossover, but actually each of us has a very different skill. And having that was really helpful. I've talked to you about this, but we had value matched partners. There is nothing, that is the single most important thing that got us through every single lemon, was that we were value matched. So even when we were arguing, we knew that we were on the same page. We have a diverse portfolio, so when COVID hit, we could quickly move our serviced accommodation to longer term residential for key workers. Because we had HMOs, we understand the regulations, so while it didn't need to be licensed, we could make sure it was up to scratch, and we could do that. And we do that all the time. We pivot things between all the different types all the time. We had cloud-based data storage, which is good, so people could access everything. We had happy, value-driven staff. I put an extraordinary amount of my time into making sure that my staff are happy. Every person that we employ, I spend time with them one-to-one, talking through our values to make sure that they are on the same page as us as well. We have, all the things that you would hope in a good organisation. We spend a lot of time talking to them about their development, understanding them, supporting them with their needs. We're quite a diverse bunch. And I support them all individually. So they're happy and they're value-driven. We had the awful thing, I don't know how many of you are in serviced accommodation. If you are, you'll know that the absolute worst thing that can happen is a guest turns out and it hasn't been cleaned. Right? Doesn't happen very often, but when it does, everybody's hearts go, ah! This happened on Friday, and I had 5 members of my team, including their partners. They were like, yeah, we'll come out, we'll go out, and they all just turned up and cleaned. And that's because I put so much time into making sure that they feel that I've got their back, so they've got my back. We had contracts with all suppliers and staff. We had a verbal shareholders agreement, which is not good enough, but at least we'd spoken about what would happen if it went wrong. I do have a will. He's gone. He would have been really proud of me. I do have a will. I have the special clever will that he was telling about earlier. And actually that was really good, because when I was facing my own demise, you can't do a will when you're facing your own demise. It is too late. It's not legally, you can get something in, but emotionally, it's not the point when you want to be thinking about what's going to happen. So yes, I agree with him, definitely get a will. We had written agreement of terms with the additional director, the one that went rogue. That was not enough. And we had alternative finance sources identified. So when our funder pulled out, it was really hard, and one of the routes included getting a second mortgage. But we could do it because we had that identified beforehand. These are the learnings then. This is what I've put in place since everything's gone wrong. So I have put in place key man insurance. I can't get key man insurance anymore because I'm too much of a risk. But we have put it in place for my fellow directors. And so I don't know if you all know what key man insurance is. I've been asked this question before, right? But that is where you work out the person that is most pivotal to your project. You insure them so that if they become seriously ill or they die, a lump of money becomes available for you to fill them. So you probably recruit to cover them, yeah. We now have comprehensive how-to system guides. We use Asana. They're all on Asana. They're multimedia, which means that anybody, and we test these regularly, at least every year, but every few months. Every time a new employee comes in, we test the how-tos. And so anything that happens in my organisation, you should be able to go onto Asana and work out exactly how you do that. We have task management software. We use Asana. I'm not on commission. We use Xero software as well. We didn't actually have Xero in place. If there's any accountants in the room, you'll be horrified how we got through our commercial conversion without financial software in place. I don't know. We now have Xero, including projects, which is brilliant. We have cyber insurance. We were hacked just before Christmas, which you should all know about because they are apparently targeting property investors. They intercepted our invoices and then went out to our biggest customer, who invoices us. We invoice about £30,000 a month to them. We have annual 360-degree reviews. We have clear but flexible strategic goals. We have a staff one-to-one process to make sure our staff are happy and we can see any problems coming with them. Because obviously one of the things with your business continuity, if you're a reasonably small team, one of your managers goes and they leave and you haven't realised, then that is a big hole in your company. So I want to know about that way before it happens. We have financial policies, we have cash reserves, so we have at least 3 months operating costs available to us at any one point. We save for tax, and we have an additional signatory on the bank account so that if anything goes wrong, there's more of us that can help. What we haven't still got is a formal shareholders agreement. It comes up at every meeting, even though I've learned that I need one. One of the reasons is because we have tested with the cancer particularly, we have tested this amongst us. And we all know unequivocally now that we would all act in the right way. I trust my business partners with my life, and I would trust them with anything else. So, but we still need a formal shareholders agreement. We don't have shareholders dispute insurance. We are now in a very horrible shareholders, actually I think it's hopefully just ended, touch wood, but we have been for the last 2 years in a very ugly shareholders dispute with the 5th director that went off. That's been really, really, really hard. It's been hard mentally, and it's been hard on our business. It's affected our growth. And if we'd had shareholders dispute insurance, it would have all been fine. Actually, I have done this in the last couple of months, so we do now have external data backup, and we have cloud-based data storage. I don't have a formal BCP document. Now, a lot of bigger organisations would have one. I'm not pro, because I think if you have a formal BCP, business continuity plan, the tendency is to think, tick, I have done that, and you put it in a drawer and you never look at it. Whereas for me, business continuity planning is thinking every time you're in your business, where are the gaps? What could happen without me? Where are the risks? You're just constantly risk assessing. It shouldn't be a long, arduous thing. It's a mindset. And we don't have critical illness insurance either, which we probably should have. So what next? Well, a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun planned. We have a word every year, and this year my word is joy. It's going very well. There's a lot of joy in my life this year. Freedom, because that's what systems give you, right? If you've got a systemised business, you can step away from your business, you can go away for the summer, everything works. And family, because obviously, time is short. We don't know when we're going, and you want to spend as much time with your family as possible. Health is obviously way up on my radar. I've learned firsthand that if you don't take care of yourself, your body will stop you. Your body will just stop you. You have to take care of health first. So all of that, I don't have time to run. I don't have time to make peace. Doesn't work. You have to make time. We have a CSR focus, which is corporate social responsibility, because that's where my heart is. I'm doing a lot of philanthropy stuff, so I've launched a small group programme for non-profits to help them raise more money and deliver more social impact. Property-wise, we are particularly focused on growing a cookie-cutter HMO model. So we've got a direct-to-vendor campaign running down in Cornwall, and we're looking a lot more into crowdfunding so that we can fund that alongside that. We're looking at commercial conversions a little bit, and we're looking at growing our portfolio of property that can support emergency accommodation in Cornwall as well. And some other dreams that will no doubt be cooked up under a tree somewhere. That is my whistle-stop tour of all of my lemons and how we got through them.